Welcome back to Exotic Car Play Place, everyone. Thanks for joining in on this beautiful, beautiful day. Today I'm here to give you a summary of what the coil spring conversion feels like now in my E70 X5 now that I've done the retrofit, because I got a little bit tired of changing out airbags. The original set died at about 120,000 kilometers. Then I put another set in. They only lasted about 50,000 kilometers. They lasted about 2 years. We did a trip to California. When I got home, I noticed the bags started to leak again. So it starts to get a little bit annoying. Now, what I'm here to do today, guys, is actually share with you what the overall driving dynamic change feels like. How does it handle? How does it brake? How does it steer? Does it handle the bumps well? Have I lost ride comfort with this upgrade or change? Have there caused any other problems, electronic gremlins or codes? There's a lot of questions to be answered, and I'm here to tell you guys what you need to know about swapping out your coil springs and improving the overall dependability of your X5 or X5 diesel for that matter. Now, it's not for everybody, so I really want to dive into that and actually let you know. I bought a set of coil conversion springs for the rear because on the E70 it's just the rear airbags that you're dealing with. And I really have to express to you what that feels like now. The retrofit was relatively easy, so it's almost a do-it-yourselfer. If you're a little bit confident and you're a little bit cautious, you can do it at home. But there are some concerns and safety concerns regarding that, but you can do the retrofit. So those of you who still have warranty or you like the original driving dynamics, maybe you just want to stick with the airbags. But I'm here to say that if you really want to save a bunch of money and you really want to count that off as one of the potential failure points in the future for your X5, well, this is a great way to go. So I swapped out the springs that I got off of Amazon. These coils were relatively affordable. These are not a coilover or a strut type of scenario. So your coil spring is actually separate from your shock. So you don't even have to touch the shock. So that's a simple part of the retrofit. Now, the thing that you need to understand is the coil spring helps with reliability, which I'm finding already. I'm never going to have to worry about the airbags leaking. I'm not going to have to worry about the air compressors failing or the accumulators or any other part of the system failing on me. The only thing I have to worry about now is the fact that now I have a code and it shows a permanent fault on the dashboard. Now, how do you fix that? Well, you can actually just get that coded out. I haven't bothered to do that yet, but just be warned that you're going to have a permanent light on your dash as a fixture. If that's not your cup of tea, like I said, you can either get it coded out or just live with it like I've got. I mean, my car's now got 190,000 kilometers on it. Quite frankly, I don't care if I've got a permanent light regarding the air ride suspension fault. It doesn't really bother me too much. It's not a reliability issue. It's just that yellow light that you find on the dashboard. So a lot of you guys have wondered, so what's the ride quality like? Well, if you're driving down a straight stretch of road and you're hitting some of those undulations in the road and some of those scoops and dips, you'll find the ride quality is deteriorated slightly. With a coil spring, you're going to get a lot more bounce in the back end. And that bounce is going to be exaggerated with the more weight you put in the back. So if you have more passengers, maybe you're towing a small boat or a craft of some sort, maybe a quad trailer, whatever that is, you're putting weight on the tongue, that's going to have a bigger impact on the spring tension. And of course, you're going to get a poorer ride quality. If you're towing, if you're loading it up with passengers, also reduced quality. If you're driving relatively moderately, if it's you, maybe a passenger, you still get some of that extra spring opposed to what you had with the airbags. But again, that's a relatively small trade-off. And so what about handling? Now, changing directions in a slalom environment, you'll find that the vehicle actually retains most of its natural handling capabilities. Now, sure, if you were to take it to the racetrack, which nobody does, this isn't a race car, this is an X5 for hauling family and whatnot, it's really not an issue. Now, if you were to push it to the extreme, I would say you've probably lost a little bit of that quality because the spring is going to give a little bit more. It might give you a little more traction, but the reality is it's going to lean a little more in those back corners, whereas the airbags are going to keep you flatter and more stable. So I would suspect in the extreme, you've probably lost a little bit with the coils. But again, for road driving conditions, for your average person out on the streets and the highways, there's no real noticeable loss in handling or changing directions. So that's perfectly fine. Now, acceleration under hard acceleration, do you get much dip in the tail? Well, not really. I mean, as you accelerate hard out of the hole, there's a small amount of dip as you accelerate and the weight transfers to the back of the vehicle. You get a wee bit of dip, but it's not a significant amount. Again, not a lot is lost there. As well, on braking, you don't really feel anything that you shouldn't feel on braking. The weight transfers to the front, and again, because your front is still standard and stock, you don't really notice a whole lot of difference in weight transfer from the back to the front. So braking, acceleration, not a big difference. Handling is all good. So at the end of the day, what is the difference? The biggest difference is loading it extreme. That's where you're going to lose a little bit of that capacity. Also, heavy dips, heavy bumps, you're going to feel it a little bit more. What I have noticed is a slight amount of improvement where you're hitting those sharper bumps and those cracks and splits in the pavement. The coil springs seem to react a wee bit better because the airbags, again, as I say, are quite stiff. And because it's stiff, and you do transfer a lot of that feeling and that split and vibration up through the rear of the vehicle. Whereas with the coil, you do tend to sort of lose some of that, which is actually an added bonus. The big bonus, of course, here is no more paying for expensive air compressors, no more paying for airbags that you've got to replace at $200 to $1,000 a pop every 2 to 3 years, which seems to be the trend for me right now. Again, no more expensive parts. The only thing you'll ever have to change again with your rear suspension are shocks and bushings and those sorts of things. You don't have to worry about coming out in the morning and finding your vehicle sitting on its rump because it lost its air on one of the corners. That is no longer going to be an issue. And quite frankly, with a BMW, anything that you can do to improve the simplicity, reliability, dependability, a win in my books. After all, it's dollars out of the pocket, so a simple retrofit like this, and you now can save thousands of dollars potentially in the future because it's inevitable. Even if you haven't had an accumulator leak or if you haven't had an air compressor fail on you, it's a matter of time. You're living on borrowed time. Why would you want to have to spend another $3,000-$4,000 retrofitting all the components of your air ride again? So would I personally recommend it? Absolutely. For me, for a daily driver, for hauling the family and the wife and the kids, getting to work and back, this does everything you need it to. There's absolutely very, very little to worry about, but there's lots to gain. So as far as I'm concerned, everybody, once you're off a warranty, this is one of the best retrofits that you can do yourself, or for cheaply, you can get your aftermarket shop to do for you and save a pile of money in the future. And you'll notice the ride height is almost bang on. The front to the rear, now the vehicle is level. Sure, if you put a little weight in there, it might level it off, might drop it a wee bit, but right now it's perfectly level. Air ride, it actually sits a wee bit higher in the back. It's a bit more nose down, but now the vehicle actually has a perfect rake to it, and this is what you want. Thanks a lot, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the video as much as I enjoyed making it and sharing it with you guys. If you want to learn how to do this modification yourself, be sure to click on that link over there. You're going to love it. It's going to give you a step-by-step play on how I did this job. As well, be sure to hit that subscribe button and the notifications bell if you're not already a current subscriber. And if you are, thanks again, everybody, for coming around. I'm really glad you joined in again. I really do appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. Thanks again, everybody. Can't wait to see you on the next one. Bye-bye.